Welcome to our live stream this evening. We're going to give everyone just a minute or so to jump online, and we always do the normal BS in the beginning of talking about the weather and how things are in
Yeah.
other people's necks of the woods. So, you guys go first. How is it over there?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It
Perfect
actually has
temperatures.
been
It's actually
dry
really
and
nice. Yeah,
warm.
yeah.
You got a lot of wildfires down there, though, don't you?
We got a little bit of a problem there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Red
Yeah.
flag.
But little
Yep.
little
We're
dry.
supposed to get some rain in a couple days. How about you?
Yeah, same. Actually, Thursday, Friday, right?
Yeah.
And I think something like that.
Yeah,
We
that's
definitely
we're
can
supposed to
use
get a
it.
little bit.
All right.
It's
Good.
it's nice having looking forward to tonight. This has been
Been a
we
while.
got the weather, although I will tell you I like the crispness up there where you are, Jamie. That's it's just nice.
It's been crisp.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
Crispy.
that.
Yeah, but nothing better than a wood fire. There's
Yeah.
nothing
No,
better.
absolutely. No, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, it goes by quick. I wonder who else is on. Got to check in if you're showing
Yeah,
up.
if you guys are
Let us
joining us
know.
live now, go ahead and say hello to us in the chat. We're on YouTube, and I also put it to our Facebook. As you guys probably noticed, a little bit of a different layout than we usually do here. We're trying a different service for our live stream, so you should be able to make a comment, and it should come through on our end. And you should also be seeing us on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And tonight we're pretty excited because tonight we're going to be talking with Ed about the official release of Book Two, which we've been talking about for a while now. But we're really excited about the official release. So tell us, Ed. Let's go slowly into this. Tell us a little bit about Book One for those who are just joining us and maybe not familiar with Book One. Give us a little bit of overview of the release of Book One, what it covers, what you went over in Book One, and then kind of segue over into Book Two, if you don't mind.
Sure. Book one, American Calamity. That was the name of that one, and it was follow these characters through basically social upheaval brought on by world conflict and EMP. And it just shows, the biggest question people have always had when they talk about, and you see this topic a lot on a lot of different things. You've got all these different movies on Civil War and all these other different things that are out there, and people, having full podcasts about what's going on and how would it happen in the United States. And one of the things in book one that I did, and I probably didn't explain this before, but why did you pick Maine? I mean, what was the pick for Maine? Well, Maine is probably one of the only states in the entire United States that is north and south. You have the red counties in the north, and you have the blue counties in the south. It is the closest to a makeup of a north-south conflict in the north woods of Maine.
Hmm.
And if you look at the election map, that's pretty much what happened, right? I mean, it
Right.
was even the congressional race in the second district in Maine this last time around. I mean, he only won by a few thousand votes. I mean, that's nothing,
Right.
and you have ranked choice voting in Maine.
Oh God. Yeah.
I mean, that's like it's just so bad. And then Alaska right now is just to let you know on ranked choice. I'm getting a little off subject, but ranked choice up in Alaska, they had a referendum on there. I think it was question number 2, and it was winning to repeal it. And now, of course, it's flipping to keep it. So I'm going to be curious to see where that one comes out. All the other states rejected it that put it on the ballot. They
Hmm.
they said, yeah, we don't want it because it's a sham. It's a they promote it as one thing, but in reality, it's to keep certain people in power. But nonetheless, getting back to the book, in Maine, it's a north-south deal. So the EMP comes in and how it affects things, and a lot of the stuff in book one, as you guys already know, and most of the people who've on this broadcast have already read it. Everything I put in there is pretty well researched.
Hmm.
Coming down, like if you're watching the BRICS stuff that's going on, the BRICS stuff, and that's the Brazil, Russia, India, China, um, South Africa. I always think Saudi Arabia, but it's South Africa's BRICS, right? And it was
Hmm.
named. Well, they're coming up with their own currency to break up the homogeny of the United States and worldwide economy. It's a real thing, for the economy. Well, I even put in there how that happens to a small degree when before the EMPs and some nuclear bombs hit, and what kind of effect that is. So you follow this family along, and at the end of book one, the main characters are forced to make a decision. And that, of course, leads us into book two. And I want to thank everybody, namely you two guys, a lot, because you really pushed me to, I planned on making this a trilogy. I'm already thinking about book three. And I can tell you that I'm in the process now of maybe sitting down and penning chapter one here shortly.
Mm.
But book two was really because I had so many people asking me, "Hey, when's book two coming out?" In fact, Jeff Kahn's on, and he was one of them. He was reading them when I was first trying it out on a
Yep.
online posting.
Right.
He was reading my earliest stuff, and so book two continues that journey, but it becomes much more national, and you get to meet some new challenges that they face later on. It's like, America's still a mess in all this goes down in 2022, 2023, and more than 30 years later, America is still, I mean, I don't think people fully comprehend how bad an EMP, I've been saying this for a long time. You hear me say it at camp all the time, how bad the power goes out. I mean, you're looking at 9 out of 10 people are going to die.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's bad.
Devastating.
It's we don't realize how bad it is. So this journey in book two, there's hope in it too. I mean, it's not completely awful. It has it has some stories of where they are rebuilding. And Otis, you'll get to meet Otis. There's some characters in there. There's you get to meet a lot of stuff happens in Texas.
Mm.
So you start getting a much more national viewpoint of what's going on, as opposed to the very centralized view of what happened in book one, where it was really relegated to the Northeast.
Right.
And knowing what's going on now, it breaks out and it shows like how this was happening in other areas in the United States, and then how all they link together for a common cause, which is in essence a full-blown civil war in the United States.
Mm.
And what they do to prevent it. And the cartels are in this, and yeah, so and you get to meet what happens with the gangs in New York, because I know a lot of people said, you find out what happens to the press that were taken in China. That answer comes out in this book, because that was kind of a cliffhanger. And then at the end, you get to meet a new character. His name is Harlow Clark at the very end of the book too, and that leads it up to what book three is going to be, and it's going to be called Disease X. This one's called The Continentals.
Oh, we got a little
Interesting.
nugget.
You
Disease
got a
X.
nugget. Yeah,
All
you
right.
got a nugget.
So here's
You
the
got a
real
nugget.
question, Ed. We're dying for this book too, right?
Yeah.
When can we get our hands on it? When can the
Okay,
public buy this book?
Thank you for that. So the galley copy that I have, this one here, this is the one I had to approve, and I was really happy with it. It was approved. Booklocker.com should have the book on either tomorrow or Friday,
Oh, nice.
and it should be on Amazon here anytime. So I mean, everybody who's on this broadcast tonight, be the first ones to know that it's coming out.
Great.
I was surprised it wasn't on Amazon today, but it will be out very soon. It's been approved. My publisher is working now to get it, getting it arranged so that it can be put out online. So I'm
Good.
looking forward to it.
Excellent.
If you're watching this
Awesome.
live, or you're joining us watching the replay, hit that like button if you're excited about book two. I know a lot of our clients and friends up here have been really looking forward to it. And we'll make sure to put a link in the description as soon as it's available on Book Locker and even Amazon. So you guys, whoever, you can get it first, you can get it in your hands as quickly as possible, so that we can push ahead to get to book three. Right?
Well, book three. I'm kind of committed now. I mean,
Yes, you are.
I'm kind of committed now. Disease X. I mean, when you finish, book two is a wild ride. Now, my mom. So there's a funny story. I'll tell you. Everybody has a funny story when it comes to people reading things. So book one, I didn't want really my mom to read book one, because it's EMP, and it's a lot of struggles. And of course, I went to my mom and I says, Mom, I really don't want you. You don't really want to read this. She goes, don't tell me what I like. Typical mom, right?
Yeah.
So she read the book, and she liked book one a lot. And she says, hey, listen, when you're done with book two, she says, let me go through it. So she went through it with a ruler. I mean, I got to, tip of the hat to my mom. I mean, she went through it. So after she's done, she goes, Eddie, I liked I like book one a lot. I mean, I liked it a lot. I like the characters in it. She goes, but I got to tell you, you made me cry 3 times in book two. She goes, book one, there was a couple in there that were bad. She goes, Thule's backstory, which is in book two, another little nugget for everybody.
Hmm.
I tell the story of how Edward Thule came to be. And she read that. She says, I had to put the book down. She goes, I was literally bawling after reading that.
Wow.
She goes, it was a great story. She says, but my God, she says, that was, what the hell do you think of this stuff? And it was like, I had to make it special for Thule. He's a big character in the book. He's the historian that's going to be the main character's replacement for the Northeast.
Right.
And so he's kind of like the one that kind of guides everybody through a little bit. You know, he's not
Hmm.
quite a narrator, but he's the guy asking questions and trying to figure out. And of course, Steven's telling him the story,
Right.
and that's how this is portrayed. So, yeah. And anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to make a comment, and I've said this before, but I think people need to understand that when you're reading these books, you're like, holy crap, how it relates to things we've been going through over the past couple of years, content that we've talked about on our live streams, and the direction potentially things could happen in real life. Hopefully not so much anymore, but I mean, we're in a pretty precarious situation right now with, Russia and with Ukraine, and I mean, even Israel and that whole thing is really kind of very, I'd say over the past 72 hours have been pretty crazy with that as well. Yeah. So stuff's, very at that tip. And it's just, I hope that we get it under control really quick, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in
Sure.
a few. But the book is just really, when I read it, and we're talking a year ago now, earlier this year, right, 2023.
Yeah.
Just saying,
24.
yeah, 2024. When did you write this book? When
This
did you
book,
write?
February of 24 is when I wrote book one, and then it was out by May?
Okay, so 2023. When did you start putting the pen to paper?
So, it's kind of funny. So I'd always wanted to write a fiction book,
Yeah.
And so one day I'm sitting in the living room. My wife and I are having coffee in the morning. We're talking, and I told her, I says, I'm starting my book today. And book one, and I like to type. Book one is, what's the description I want to give? I had book one pretty much all fleshed out and typed rough, and it was rough. I mean, when I say rough, it was rough in about 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Once I got typing and I knew what I wanted for a plot line, it went. And one of the little secrets about book one that a lot of people don't know is when I did book one, the first 2 chapters of the original manuscript were condensed into 1 chapter because, as my good friend told me, Cheryl, who helped me, she said that the first 2 chapters read like a white paper. However, someday I may publish that. And
That would
put it,
be interesting.
yeah, I may put it out. I ought to send it to you one day, Jamie, and you can just read it, because if I was to had submitted that white paperish beginning, because that's the hardest chapter to write when you're starting a book, especially fiction, is keeping people interested. And I would have lost everybody, especially if nobody wants to read that. But if you had read what I wrote, there's like a lot of that stuff that's going on, right now.
Right.
And it's
just insane.
Yeah,
Insane.
I toned it way down to make it readable. I mean, it killed me to do it. We probably eliminated, I'd say conservatively, about 10 pages off of book one, just condensing those 2 together. Nobody knows that. I mean, you guys are the first ones I've said that to. And so book one was definitely, but I had it penned out. It was finished. It took me forever to edit. There's still, first edition, I have some corrections I want to make. They're minor, very minor, but they're, the typical artist, right? You're never happy with your work. One thing I can tell you, I went through book two. I didn't find any corrections, which is unusual, because in book one, I was like, oh man, I've got to pull out the sticker, put it in, I got to fix that. Little tiny things, a couple dates were off.
Yeah.
But nothing major, nothing that affects the readability of the book. But book two, that one was quick too.
So I got a question for you. How the hell did you write a book that kind of portrays what we've been going through? Was it that you knew the direction things were going. You were concerned about the way things are going. You wrote just based on, I want to write about this story, and it just so happened that things kind of related and happened over the past, 12, 24 months. How did this all, how did it come to where it is where you're reading this and you're like, oh crap, wow.
Yeah. So some of it, like when I was, because I used Ukraine as it's kind of like the launching point of this, right? This was all
Yeah.
going down. So Ukraine, and you guys have known me now a while. I talk about, I like talking about international politics. And one of the things I said to my friends early on before I started this book, Ukraine was boiling up, and remember the Chinese Olympics were going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the comment to several of my friends. I said, Russia's not going in to Ukraine until the Chinese Olympics are over. And this was like 3-4 months before they had their Olympics.
Mm.
Guys are like, oh, you're nuts. He doesn't give a crap about the Chinese. And I'm like, you guys are, you're not watching politics enough. You think the Chinese are unreasonable and the Russians are unreasonable. I got news for you. Get into culture a little bit more and talk to these people. You're going to realize that Putin will not do anything to dishonor the Chinese. And what happened? He didn't do jack until after the Chinese Olympics were over, and within a month, a couple weeks. Well, that's right around when I was writing the book, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go with some of the other theories I have on how something like this would go off, and and see. And of course, it's all fiction, but it's fiction that's like, holy crap,
Right.
this could happen. It could happen right now. I mean, just because Trump was elected president doesn't mean a magic wand waves and all this goes away. You've got some international concerns right now, namely here in the U.S. during a lame duck presidency, where it seems like a provocation to make him do exactly some of the stuff that I mentioned in book one. And it may not go away. Just because he negotiates with President Trump doesn't mean that they're going to find a solution. There's some deep-rooted issues over there, even like during the Tucker interview that he had with Putin. Everybody busted Tucker stones over that. I thought it was a phenomenal interview.
You learned a lot.
Oh my God.
Right.
You know what made people uncomfortable about that interview? There were inconvenient truths that Tucker was exposing of the culture.
Right.
Like everybody's like, oh, he walked into a grocery store and that was planned for him. No, he didn't. He didn't do that. First off, I've never caught Tucker in a lie. And when he's wrong, he admits it.
Right.
Right? I mean, that's the best thing you can ask for. And he's about the most honest dude I've ever seen. So he turned around and went in all these different places. You got a chocolate cake at a place that used to be McDonald's. I watched that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and he said it was actually a good chocolate cake. But the bigger thing there is at the beginning of the interview, I know Tucker kind of cut himself down on this. Like he was trying to, take the interview over. That's not why Putin did what he did. I have a lot of friends when I used to shoot overseas. We in America are viewed as historical idiots.
Right.
That's how
yeah.
we're viewed. We're viewed as a bunch of morons. We speak one language for the most part.
Right.
Where most of the people I dealt with overseas, they spoke minimum two languages.
How many kids, even older kids, college age or older, know a lot about politics or what happens in the United States politic-wise or U.S. world history? They don't.
They do.
Oh, they do.
They do.
Right.
They know our history more than we do. And
Right.
this isn't a cut on my country. I mean, I'm red, white,
No.
and blue, right?
No.
This is just simply, these are the realities of the world we live in.
Right.
And what Putin was doing at the beginning of that interview was explaining he left out some critical parts, mind you. The concentration camps that they had all over Russia and other things that he seemed to gloss over.
Right.
Just a little bit. However, Tucker did the right thing and let him talk, and he started talking about the history of Ukraine and how it came about. This would be no different than us having a conversation over an invasion of Texas. Or they became a republic for whatever reason. I mean, there's so many things here where we wouldn't put up with what Russia put up with for a long time.
Yeah.
And now everybody's getting involved. And
Right.
so that interview that Tucker had, he gave Putin enough rope in that interview to talk about what he felt was important that we needed to know. The problem is if you don't know your history over there and how those places came to be, and that's what fascinates me. That's the reason why when I was writing book one and putting this together, this is like a hobby of mine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really all that hard to stitch it together. And compared to those people in Europe, I'm an ignoramus. I sit down, take a knee, be a little good schoolboy, and listen to what they have to say, and then I research it. Trust
Right.
but verify, as Reagan used to say.
Yeah.
But we're here. We just the vast majority of the American public, they hear Russian and think commie, and it's like they're much more complicated than that. It's a much more complicated culture, and all the stuff I put in book one was me trying to represent. They don't bluff. That's why I heard the other day, and Jamie, you brought it up earlier, where they mentioned that, well, they're bluffing. They wouldn't do anything. Yeah. And I can think of better people I would want to play poker with. I'll just leave it at that. I wouldn't want to do it with the Russian bear. Just,
Yeah.
I'm not
Agreed.
afraid of them. I mean, if I'm on righteous ground and I was in charge, that's different. But I don't think we're on too much righteous ground, and we've a lot of people have died over there.
So he's lowered the threshold for using nuclear, and he threatened that if U.S. missiles go over into Russia, I know we're here for the book, but I think this is an interesting topic, and it all plays a critical role between the book and plus our clients. We're always having these conversations, right? So let's continue this conversation. They shot the missiles, U.S. missiles, into Russia. I heard today that they shot British missiles over into Russia. What's your thought, your theory as to what Russia potentially would do next?
So if I was a betting man, Putin's smart. I mean, people can say what they want. Oh, he's this, he's that. He's no dummy. He's a freaking intelligent guy. You listen to him talk. He's very jurisprudent in the way he presents things. He doesn't bluff, but he's not stupid, right? So what I think he's doing now is he realizes the statement he made about negotiating with President-elect Trump. I want to believe that was him telegraphing to the United States anyway that, hey, listen, I'm not going to do anything stupid until after he's sworn in. And I don't know if that's going to apply to Europe. Let me throw this scenario out at you. I would, if I was rewriting book one, and this was happening, what the scenario I might have would be he nukes Europe, doesn't touch the U.S., and says to the U.S., you guys, we're only going after the countries that are firing these. Britain fired at us. Yeah, I nuked London. What are you going to do about it? Think about that question. Nobody in the U.S. has been nuked. What do? We say, yeah, we want to go full thermonuclear on them. I mean, these are questions. These are dirty, scary questions. I think a lot of people are saying, I don't have to worry about that. That's over there. He ain't going to do that. He's bluffing. What if he's not?
Yeah.
What if he's not? What if he says, I'm going to send a missile into Paris because you guys just launched some French missiles at us? I think that's what we're missing.
So why would he skip over the U.S. since the first missiles were U.S. missiles? Because it was NATO that controlled them and sent them over.
Yeah, because and it wouldn't be in his best interest to attack the U.S. because he'd hold that card over us. And I'm not saying he would do that. I think
we're just playing, sandboxing this, talking about it.
Right, it's a scary sandbox we're playing in, though. It's full of cat shit, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is one of those boxes when you're digging around. It's scary because I'm not so worried about him doing something ridiculous because I think he's already charted it out. I just got to get to January 20th, and I think I'll be able to have a conversation. I think my biggest worry right now is I can pretty much predict what he might do. I can't predict what our administration is going to do for the next 60 days.
Right.
And I think that's what scares me more than anything, because let's face it, in the last 72 hours, they've authorized something they said they weren't going to authorize.
Right. And they authorized the mines. Did you hear that today?
No, I didn't even hear that one. Geez, that missed. What about the mines?
The Biden administration authorized the use of mines to be used as well. So,
guys, the world's going to turn into a scary place. And I think it's going to get scarier and scarier. You got Turkey talking to the Egyptian military about Israel. That's not good.
Right.
Turkey's not recognizing. The Israelis can't even fly over Turkish airspace to go places now. I mean, you're dealing now with stuff that, we all live in our little hamlets, right? Connecticut is, Connecticut, Maine is obviously Maine.
Hmm.
We do our thing every day. You go to the studio, I do my work, I come up to my office, I do my stuff. Dave goes out and does his things. Days, we don't have to worry about a missile landing in our house. Just try to imagine we go to war and you wake up one morning, you find out, yeah, Washington D.C. was nuked, and you're getting all these weird warnings over your phone and things aren't working. People, it's all fun and games to talk about and say it won't happen until the day it happens.
Happens, right?
And
Well, I think we're all in the same mindset. We prepare for that potentially could happen.
Best you can. Yep.
Right, exactly. And we have
and it's scary. Book
we
one
don't-
kind of gives you an outline of how bad it could be, though.
we're not
And it's
wearing
mild.
rose-colored glasses. We're hoping for the best, but
Oh,
we're
yeah, I
preparing
don't
for the
want-
worst.
Think about it. Kids that have to live through this. I mean, we all got kids,
Yeah.
grandkids, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't want that.
I don't.
Nope, not at all.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how things unfold over the next not only couple of days, but the next 60 days, which is going to be, I think, besides the whole Russia thing that's going on, I think there's going to be things locally in the United States that are going to start, happening over the next 60 days as well.
Yep.
Things have
Seen
already
it.
been put in place. Oh yeah, they've already seen it, and they're not publicizing it much. But if you dig a little bit, it's easy to find some of the stuff that's going on. The gang, the Venezuelan gang. Did you see that they were now reported? I think 16 or 17 states that they've been
I saw that.
One that was shocking was Montana.
Yeah.
That is kind of odd.
Yeah, unless we're talking like was it Jackson?
No, Billings or wherever it is, or
Yeah.
Homestead or around that area. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom line is, those are problems I think are going to get solved. I
Not
believe
prior
those-
to January though.
No. Well, it's there's a denial of reality that I
Right.
think some people live in. I mean, it's what's your strongest conservative? Usually a liberal that got mugged, right? I mean, that's always the cops. That's what they used to always say. The guy who couldn't stand the police and hated them, and then they get mugged one day, and then they realize, shit, I got to go to Jamie's studio and learn how to defend myself, and then they want to come learn how to
Yep.
shoot a pistol, right?
Yeah,
Next thing you know, David's selling holsters to people. I mean, it's a
how it
scary
happens.
world. When it happens to you, it's like, it's you can live in whatever bubble you want to live in until the bubble bursts, and you're looking around going, holy crap, how am I going to feed my family?
Right.
EMP is no joke. That's why book one gets in there. Book two, spinning back to that a little bit.
Show the
two
book.
goes- oh
Give
yeah.
us a little flash. Hold it up there for a sec. Nice.
It's
We
real.
wanted Ed to walk into the room and kind of model with the book in his hand, but it just didn't
Little
work. There
Vanna
we go.
White action right there.
There
Yeah,
we go.
do you like that?
That's the most you're going to get out of Ed, by
That's
the way.
it. That's all you're gonna get. That's all I can do. That's all I can do without making all the audience puke. And then, but the book in here is that it really tees up. Well, there's a lot of action. My mom even said to me, she goes, "My God," she says, like a roller coaster. So much stuff is going on. There's some characters you're gonna like. It shows like how they're rebuilding America too. You get to really get to know Otis, and he's a great character. That's everybody's favorite. And then of all the test readers I had, a lot of them were reading it, and they're like, "Oh man, I love Otis." The other one they like is Texas Ranger that I introduced. That becomes a very critical part. Jamie Hernandez, and he's out of El Paso, and you get to meet him and learn about the second battle of the Alamo. And it's going to be some little tidbits here at the end. You get to meet Harlow Clark, and it teased up the Chinese actually coming into North America, and that's going to be the tee up for
Another nugget.
another nugget and Disease
So what-
X, and then
What happens in chapter 1 of book 3?
I'll tell you right now. I already came up with the name. I'll give you the name of chapter 1. The chapter name, I've already thought it through. It's going to be called The State of Jefferson.
All right.
That's a tidbit.
Now they're
people
nugget.
people can look that up, and they'll realize that's where Harlow Clark hails from, plus his camp that he owns. But that's where he hails from, and I'm going to start telling the story. And Harlow Clark will be pretty much a representation of what goes on the West Coast, like what Stephen Moore went through, but very, very, very different than Stephen Moore's experience. So I bring it back to that, and then bring it out again. So book 2 is, if you thought book 1 there was some action scenes in it. You know, it was like 3 really big ones. In this one here, it's like you're on a ride for like 2 or 3 chapters. I mean, it's, you know, Spanky comes
Awesome.
back.
Good.
Yeah,
Good. We're looking
Spanky's a
forward to it.
flamethrower tank in this one.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they talk about how they convert it and stuff. Yeah, that's a whole comedy show between Moore and Clements. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
If you guys are joining us on right now, say hello, drop a comment, and tell us where you're listening from, or say hello to Ed Pocock III, author of American Calamity. We're talking about his book number 2 in his 3-part series, maybe
It'll
4
be 3.
or
It'll
3.
be 3. I may not close it off, but my 4th book I'm writing is going to be, it's going to be nothing probably people really want to buy on tonight, but it's going to be a nonfiction book on the history of modern policing. I lecture on it twice a year down at the University of Louisville, and I want to write a professional novel, nonfiction on that. So that's my next goal. That'll take me about a year to do.
Yeah.
Then I might come back to this again. I don't know. We'll see. If people read the first 3, I'm going to put them in hardcover eventually, and
Nice.
then I'll have. And if people say to me, "Hey, listen, you know, you gotta do another one," well, I'll leave the door open for
There you go.
a
Good.
book 4. I'm not going to close it. I made up my mind. I won't close it, but I won't leave a cliffhanger at the end of 3 like I've done on book 1 and book 2.
Well, we're really excited about book 2. We got little tidbits of information on book 3. It's a 3-part series. If you guys are watching this live stream and you haven't read book 1 yet, get it ordered, and maybe even order it with book 2. And you got to dig into us and join us when we jump on another live stream and ask Ed some questions about his book. A phenomenal book, and I'm not just saying that because we're biased here, and Ed and I have a tight relationship, but I was amazed by that front book and how factual it was, and I'm really looking forward to book 2, as I know a lot of our clients are. What do we have?
Jennifer
Someone
from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Hey,
Jennifer, how are you? Thanks for joining
doing?
us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Jen.
You guys hit that like button. Let us know where you're listening from. Say hello to Ed. And we're going to be on for about another 5 minutes or so talking about things. We're kind of talking a little bit about the U.S. world right now, right?
It's probably Tom ghosting his wife out there in Wisconsin. Great guy.
Is
He's
this
on
Tom or is this
Yeah.
Jennifer? Maybe
No,
you're using
I don't
Jennifer's
know. We'll
profile.
see. It could be her. They're great. Oh my God, phenomenal human beings. And then Tom has been he's on my credits page. I don't put anybody's last names, but when you see Tom on the credit page, there's a lot of people that helped me out on this book. I didn't name them by name in the first book, but they were there too. Jamie, I have you on the credits page for your help and support, and I mean that sincerely. And one of the biggest reasons why I enjoyed working with some of the people that I've bounced things off of is they're willing to tell you it's pumpkin. That's what I call Jennifer all the time. It's pumpkin. Okay, good. And so I said, is the fact that you'll tell me if something sucked or something was wrong. You know, nobody's there shining my shoes, and that's what I'm looking for. And I've been graced with some absolutely awesome human beings that have given me great guidance, and I'm thankful, very thankful for it. So
Thankful for everything that you do and bringing your knowledge and sharing everything with us is it's priceless. It's something that I think a lot of people need to have more access to. And some people open up and say, "Hey, I want to learn more. I want to become educated in this topic." And some people just wear the rose-colored glasses and say, "Oh, you guys are nuts," and and that's fine too.
And the other thing in there is in book 2, Jamie, just to give you a tip of the hat, and David too, because David's been on this thing too. Like, I've been watching you buying the Hell Tech and all the other stuff. Matter of fact, I picked one up. I picked the one you got over the one Mike picked up. I think you did a better job. And Mike's not here to defend himself, so it's beautiful.
Yeah. Have you tried it yet?
No, it's coming in. I think it's at the post office. I got to pick it up.
Oh, nice.
But Meshtastic is actually mentioned in this book.
Ah.
In chapter 1, it's in there. They talk about radio codes and how to find people. There's a lot of nuggets in there. I tried to make it where it was a fiction book, but if you're somebody who cares about preparing, you can turn around and actually read the stuff that's in here and go, you know what, this is a fiction book, but I could actually use some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the goal. I wanted to make it where it wasn't just, some sci-fi nonsense. There's really, I don't think there's anything that happens in here. Even the fight scenes, there is one. Oh yeah, Krav Maga is in there. David Cobb, one of the main characters, I decided to make an artist in that, and he ends up getting into a fight with somebody else. I don't want to ruin it, but that's in chapter 1, I think, too. And that's a tip of the hat to you, Jamie.
Mm.
And I figured you would enjoy that immensely. You're going to see it, and you're going to understand it when you. There's not about anything in there about how it's done, because I wouldn't know what the freaking hell to say. But it's just the fact that they were both, like it's a serious thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
awesome.
yeah, so that's and there's a lot of nuggets in there. There's other people that I've known for a long time, and there's little tiny Easter eggs scattered throughout the Continentals, American Calamity The Continentals, that I know that people will read it and go, Jesus, he put that in there because of me, and that's good. I like
Yeah.
that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's great.
Little things.
So those of you just joining us, the book number 2, show it again, model it, please, Ed.
Oh,
Put it up on the screen.
I gotta do.
All
I gotta
right,
do Pumpkin.
don't do
I
that.
gotta
Just
do this.
just
I gotta
hold
do
the
this
book.
for Pumpkin, because if
There
I
we go.
don't,
Oh, okay. There
know,
you go.
I got to be careful. I don't want to get harassed, because I'll probably be talking to her husband later on tonight.
Well, book 2 is releasing within hours, if not a day, on Amazon and on Book Locker. We'll be putting a link to be able to order the book in the description. And we're looking forward to getting our hands on this. I know a lot of my clients are as well. Ed's going to be back up for our May camp. Let's plug that a little bit. May 14th to the 17th up here in the Northwoods of Maine. He's going to be running those rifle courses that we've discussed in other live streams. We did precision rifle, which was called Technician 2. This Technician 1 this past camp.
Yep.
But May camp, we're actually going to be running Rifle 101, Precision Rifle 1,
Yep.
and Precision Rifle 2, which you obviously
Warhammer.
have to qualify, right? So
Yeah, the
if you don't
Precision
mind,
2.
just go a little bit into, because we haven't done a stream since the camp. I want to talk a little bit of a quick overview of the last camp and what's going to change for Precision 1 and Precision 2 real quick, if you don't mind.
Well, the Precision 1 is going to mimic what we did, to a degree, what we did on Precision 1, but there's some ways we're going to save time, from the last camp, because we learned from that too, right? And I mean,
Right.
we had the people we had shooting on our Precision 1 course, or what we called Technician at the time, but it'll be the same, was building their dope book, and we will still do some walking, but we got to find a way to get back and forth quicker, I think, we're working on that. And then I want to do some scope exercises and really drill down on, the things we did. I thought it was very successful. There's some people who had some equipment that they realized afterwards, which, that's a key. People forget that too. If you go to a course and you attend it, that doesn't mean that you can't go again with another piece of equipment. It's going to be a rare opportunity that you have to do what Mike and I did with our group, going all the way out to 400, 500 yards to get their dopes, right? Their settings for their scopes.
Right.
What a lot of people learn, and I learned too, because I was working with a lot of people with 6.5 Creedmoor, I learned, that some of the folks with shorter barrels, I'm used to doing barrel corrections starting at 375 meters or 400 yards. What I learned is some of these guys have these shorter barrels. That bullet's yawing a lot sooner to the right, and they're doing barrel corrections, some of them at 200 yards. And that was interesting, and it's good for those shooters to know that, because most of them, they shoot 100 yards, they figure out what it says mechanically to put on for a setting on elevation, and they just said that's good enough. That's not what that course is about. So what the folks that showed up, that maybe, I'm thinking of the brothers specifically, by the way, funny, everybody I had on the line, I mean, we had a great time. I mean, everybody was just phenomenal, and I broke their stones the whole time, and it was great because they're unbelievably, all the shooters that we had on the line were unbelievably capable. The only limitation they had was the equipment that they brought. They got to see real quick some of the stuff that they thought was going to be really easy to do, they realized, oh, you know what, this isn't working out the way I thought it was going to work out. And so coming back to Precision One next time, you know, they're going to be ahead of the game. So I would think that would be a good move on their part.
Yeah.
Then go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go first.
Then we have Precision Two, which was something Jamie and I talked about, and I'm going to introduce a course of fire where they're going to be able to apply all those skills. And it's a course that we used to be called the Warpath, I think was the official name, and we're going to call it the War Hammer. And they're going to be able to test all the things they learned through Precision One in the last hours of Precision Two, shooting targets at varying ranges on the move. And that's a test. You know, that's a real life competition. It was one of my favorite. It was Ed Gross from Keene, New Hampshire, had an event. It was the year I won 99 Top Gun in New Hampshire for New England, actually. And he had a course, and he called it the Warpath. And to this day, it's the best sniper event I ever went on as a police officer. And so I want to create a similar one for folks that attend this. And they will walk away from this. We have new metal targets that should be showing up at your door that we'll be utilizing for this, you know, for ranges obviously longer than 100 meters or 100 yards. And they'll be able to participate in all that. And they're also going to learn more finer points about close-in shooting.
Beautiful.
And so it's going to be a more well-rounded dope book. And a couple long-range shots we'll take too. But I was very grateful to the students that we had. They were just phenomenal. This is great. All of them. I mean, and they were funny. Oh my God. I mean, just, you know, salt of the earth. I mean, they're just great.
Yeah, awesome people. Great group of people.
A lot of the group that was already in one is going to be already attending two. They gave me verbals. We haven't put up the registration for Precision 2, which is going to be coming up shortly. We announced the full camp. And what usually happens when you book for the full camp is if we have room, we'll do the mini courses where you could just jump into defensive handgun or you could just jump into rifle courses. But there is going to be a certain segment of people that want to do the rifle, you know, Precision 1 and Precision 2. So that's going to be a separate registration process. And yes, that will be launched soon. You'll be getting an email on that. And those of you who have already given me the verbal, your spot is reserved, so don't worry about that. As for the full camp, we're already about halfway filled for the full camp. Besides doing rifle, you have the opportunity to do defensive handgun with David and I. And we'll be running a really great course of fire. So
I was a little jealous of you guys, by the way.
And why is that?
We had some fun.
I was watching you guys down on the trail, and I'm thinking to myself, man, because you know, rifle shooting, it's not about quantity, you know, it's about quality, you know. And I'm listening to you guys down there, and I'm watching bang, bang, bang. I'm like, oh my God, they're having.
Well, we had both. We had quantity and quality.
Yeah,
I quality in the quantity.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It was great. I was listening to you guys. I'm thinking, oh my God, the pistol courses you guys have are just phenomenal.
So here's a question for someone watching that wants to attend the rifle 101. Do they have the ability to advance from 101 to level 1 and then to level 2?
So let me go over the schedule so everyone understands. So on Wednesday we start at about 1:00. That's when we're going to have Rifle 101 going on, and at the same time we're going to have a basic handgun course going on, pistol course, for those of you that are new to shooting with us. But also during that basic pistol course, people that have been with us for, you know, years training and doing our camps, we're going to have them broken apart, doing a little bit more advanced stuff, kind of brushing the dust off a little bit and getting ready to rock and roll for the next couple of days. So Rifle 101 will be an opportunity for you to be able to work with Ed and Mike for Wednesday afternoon. And then all day Thursday will be Precision 1, and all day Friday will be Precision 2. So knowing that, Ed, go ahead and tell them a little bit about what the qualifications are and will they be able to attend?
So, well, if you qualify for Precision 1, you're probably able to do Precision 2, right? But you got to be physically capable for Precision 2. You know, I mean, it's going to be a lot of running. You got to be able to move. You know.
Now, what about Rifle 101? Because I think David was asking if you do Rifle 101, does it automatically mean you can do a Precision 1?
So Rifle 101, we learned some lessons from this last time around when we were doing it, right? Because there were some people that were there, they were ready to go right into Precision 1, and Rifle 101, what we learned is I don't want to limit people, especially people that have disabilities that it makes it difficult for them, right? So I'm old school, everything's prone, right?
Hmm.
Well, for 101, we're going to have tables, I believe, this time around for people if they need them. You're better off shooting prone. If you're capable physically of shooting prone, that's the way you should do it. The closer you get to Mother Earth, the better.
Yeah.
But there are people that do 101, and it's a lot of it. It's whatever you bring. We had, Boo had her lever action, and she hid from me the whole time. She had a Browning X bolt, and I was like, my God, why is that in the trunk? Bring that thing out. I like Browning X bolts; they're a great gun. Anyways, but having a bench for her and being able to at least sight her gun in and have the gun sighted in that way, that's going to be my major, and for Mike too, because we talked about it at length afterwards, and we realized we're like, you know what, we got to have that set up for just about anybody that wants to just get a good 100-yard solid zero and test their equipment.
Right.
But when you go to Precision 1 from 101, the thing to keep in mind is if you're showing up to 101 or Precision 1 with a rifle with low magnification, you're brand new, you don't really know if it can shoot an inch group. My worry on Precision 1 remains always the same. I don't want to see the shooters get frustrated when they're out there, because the pace is pretty quick,
Yep.
and and everybody wants to get their dope card in before the end, out to at least 400 yards. And I do it in 25-yard increments because the reason for that is it's a confidence building in your system and your abilities. And it's exactly what Mike and I did for training for our international and national competition. So I'm giving them the same recipe for success,
Right.
so that when they're in the field and they're hunting, they can have that same confidence level in their equipment when they go to take down that trophy.
Right. And it goes the same for the handgun, that we don't want to push someone far ahead than where their capabilities are or where they should be in a training progression, right, in a skill set. And what the great thing about the difference in the tracks here is that you could do Rifle 101 and kind of dip your toe a little bit into, learning a little bit about rifle, how to zero in your scope. And then you could spend Thursday and Friday with David and I working on defensive handgun. And if you're like, oh, I'm kind of new to it, I don't want to miss that intro on Wednesday while I'm doing Rifle 101, that's okay. We'll get you taken care of. We'll put you to the side with the instructor. We'll get you, caught up on what you need to, and make sure you're flowing nicely for Thursday. And then we have people that don't need to do Rifle 101. They're working with us on Wednesday. Then they're doing Precision 1.
Yeah.
So then they'll jump to you for Precision 1. And then on Friday, they're not going to do Precision 2. They're going to, stay with us and back to defensive handgun. Or we have people that did Precision 1, Tech 1, right? They're going to do Precision 2 only. So now they're working with us for handgun on Wednesday and Thursday, and they're going over to you on Friday.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
Plenty
great
of
opportunities, right? Lots of flexibility.
I'd like to do, I haven't talked to you about this, so here's a little, how we give little tidbits, but for the October camp,
Yeah. Oh,
I'd like to do an AR-15 specific course for people who want to learn how to do a good zero and go through that, and and have people show up for that, like a good steady trunk gun, that they have, so
absolutely.
we'll talk more about that, but that's been on my mind. My mind is wandering after I did the course stuff for you this last time. I'm like, I got to better start thinking ahead to October,
So the other thing to keep in mind is we will be adding in emergency medical. So what you'll see on the schedule on the website for camp is that on Saturday, we're not on the range and we're doing emergency medical, emergency communication, and so forth. We might keep that schedule, but David and I have kind of been playing around with the idea of bringing back what's called the Beast, and which is basically taking all the curriculum and things you've kind of worked Wednesday through Friday and putting it into a skill course that you go through on Saturday. And if we end up doing that, what that means is that we're going to take emergency medical and we're going to move it into during the week. We're going to take emergency communications, move it in the week. And it might very well be that we have it as a dinner conversation while we're all seated at dinner and kind of going over, the emergency communications part, and then Stop the Bleed will have to be mixed in somewhere else. So anyway, the point is that the schedule is a little bit subject to change. And we've had some feedback with some clients of things they'd like to work on and do. And one of the things that people have asked for was bringing back the Beast a little bit and going through that skill set at the end. So we might be doing that. So we're working on the schedule. We're going to fine tune it a little bit more, but I highly recommend if you're thinking about attending camp in May, get your reservation secure, put your deposit down so that you know that you're locked in, you're good to go, and you'll be kept in the loop as we start to release more information as to how the curriculum is going to flow.
And the Birches is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's there.
I mean, that is like, that's just the draw. It's like the smile that goes on my face when I pull in there. And this time I got up first. I was there first.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
Yeah,
and
it's beautiful.
Oh my God. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, it's just a great place. And having that in the dining room, like for like after dinner or something like that. I like that idea,
Yeah.
Jamie. That's because it's so nice. It's a lodge. I mean, it's a lodge. It's like the real deal.
Right.
It's just.
Yeah.
It's just so much history at that place. It's just wonderful.
There is, and it's secluded way up in the north woods of Maine for a reason that we have it up here is for that experience. You're not in a highly populated area. You're away from it all. You don't hear a lot of road noise. You don't hear any sirens. It's you're secluded and you're with a big group of people that have goals in mind for training, just like you do, and you get to know each other a little bit. You create some good camaraderie and have some great time spent together at the campfires and some great training as well. So it's a whole experience rather than just you're coming here to train and that's it. It's really a group and a family that we put together.
You make lifelong friends, and for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
unbelievable.
And I can't stress that enough until you actually come here and attend, then you get it. And I get that. People come up to me afterwards and like, I get it now. I've been thinking about doing this for a year or two. I've been hesitating because of the travel, because, getting up there and all that. But once they get here, they're like, I
Should
get
have
it.
done it sooner.
Yeah. I
all
checked
say
out
the
from
same
work.
thing. Yeah.
I'm out in the range. I'm secluded from everything else. I'm with you guys. And this is a life-changing experience, which is exactly what I intended when I created this in 2018. So
Yeah, it's great. I go on the range every morning. I was there setting up early, percolating coffee, watching the sun come up.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, that was the
He was.
dreamland, baby.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
That was-
it really is.
Yeah.
When you're on our range, you're way up, and you could see the horizon. You could see the mountains out in the distance. So it's an experience. It really is. TK says camp sounds amazing. Hoping to be there soon. Well, we hope that you join us as well.
That's my good friend Tom. He's great. He's great.
Is that the other half of Jennifer?
Oh yeah, that's the other half. Yeah, that's the other half. He's hiding under. At least he's not hiding under Pumpkin's name. That's
more.
All right.
She's a sweetheart.
We'll hope that we get you guys up here soon because I'd love to meet you in person. My beautiful wife is on as well. Hello.
I see that.
Yeah.
Hey, Deanna.
Thanks for jumping on. We're going to be signing off in just a few minutes. So if you have questions for Ed Pocock III and his second book in his series called American Calamity, model it again, please. Put that up on the screen.
The American Calamity The Continentals. You get the
Oh, yeah. We've been waiting for this.
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
know.
be
any moment, right?
any moment,
Yeah.
like literally within hours to
Hours.
a day. It's going to be
Yeah.
available on Book Locker and on Amazon. We'll provide a link in the description. But we're really excited about this, Ed.
Well, there's been a lot of encouragement. A lot of them are on this comments page that that were just even at the Fish and Game Club. I go up there and I hadn't been up there in a while. I've been busy with business stuff and other things I've been working on. Even getting the book finished, and I went up there and they're like, "When's 2 coming out?" I had one guy, he literally walked out of the crapper that's up there, and I'm walking across. He goes, "Hey, when's book 2 coming out?" I mean, the guy just finished freaking doing his business. So it's like I didn't even get to the range. I was like trying to set up and stuff, but yeah, it's the support has just been phenomenal. I mean, and it's amazing. I'm like, what happens to the press? At the end of book 2, and it's funny because everybody has their own favorite. Like Tom's on here now. His favorite scene, and if I'm butchering it, he'll tell me later on the phone, but was the rest area scene.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own favorite, and the ending to that one kind of sucked, but that there was a lot
The one
of
that really stuck with you, right? Yeah.
yeah, that was the one there. A lot of people, there was a couple parts in book 1 that people were like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
I know that, but the bottom line was, was just trying to present how bad things could be.
Absolutely.
And I pray to God it never gets like that.
Well, we're going to keep you guys abreast of the release. We'll post it on our social media channels and we'll put a description down, but you can obviously go over to Amazon and just type in American Calamity, The Continentals over and over and over again
Yeah.
and wait for it to populate. And
I'm
Book
hoping they
Locker.
have a link next to the other book. I'm hoping if you just type in American
That would be
Calamity,
great.
Yeah, it should.
it,
It should
it
link.
should all be together.
Yeah,
But
yep.
if you haven't purchased book one, feel free to
Get it done.
Feel free to grab it.
Yeah, you got to read
Yeah.
book 1 before you go to book 2.
You definitely do.
But book 2 you can read as a standalone. It's just that there's so many Easter eggs.
But my
in there.
suggestion is read
book
1
1.
and 2.
Yeah,
No, go
it
order
tells us-
both.
prejudice.
Order both.
I like it. I like your prejudice, but it's like I didn't want to do. Are you guys familiar with the Out of the Ashes series? The Ashes series by William
No.
Johnstone.
No.
I read that when I was in the service, and that was what got me into it. It's like they're old school adventure books, and he started writing the books where you couldn't really connect unless you read the book before. He had a few that were alone you could read, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it where if you purchased the Continentals, American Calamity the Continentals, you could read that book, and if you didn't have book 1, you didn't feel like you were reading, some hot mess
Yeah,
that
I
you didn't
gotcha.
know.
Right.
So I did that on purpose, but yeah, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't read book 1 because there are so many Easter eggs in book 2 to reward the people who read
Reading,
book
right.
1. And I did that on purpose because I also wanted to reward the loyal readers that, really pushed me forward on this.
The other thing is bring the books with you to camp because Ed loves signing
will.
his autograph and putting a little note about stupid stuff maybe you did at camp or good things you did at camp.
To a few people. Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that to a few. It's funny who buys the books too. Like I do my lectures sometimes, and I bring books with me down to that. And I'm like, hey, listen, I've published this book, and there was one I brought down 20, 30 books, and they were gone. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, guys, you're not obligated to buy this book just because I'm teaching the class. Oh, no, I want to read this thing. I'm like, okay. And they would come up to me and they'd be reading it, bored out of their minds in the rooms probably, and they come up and they'd be like, dude, this book is really good. When's the next one coming out? And I was like, that's really just awesome. When you hear
That's
stuff.
what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, guys, we're going to be signing off in about a minute. I put in your last minute hellos. If you have any questions for Ed, myself, or David, whether regarding the book 2, American Calamity, the Continentals, or regarding camp or firearm training, please put it in the comments. And otherwise, we'll be signing off in about a minute. And we'll be doing another live stream in a couple weeks. We're not sure exactly on the date, but we're usually doing every other week. So we won't be on next week, Thanksgiving week, but the week of 3rd, 4th, 5th, somewhere in that week, we should be back on putting some new content out for you guys, talking more about the second book because it will be out by then. And we'll talk a little bit more about camp
you'll
and
be
training.
reading it. You'll be asking me questions about what the hell made you do this.
And if you guys have questions for us of things to cover in our future live streams, please put them in the comments as well, because I've had some people asking questions about Krav Maga and training and some weapon defenses. So I haven't forgotten about those comments. And yes, we'll be adding those into some live streams in the next couple of weeks. So we will definitely be tackling that. And also news stories. I know a lot of you guys enjoyed when we broke down the attempted assassination of Trump. And if you like that type of stuff, or there's a news story you kind of like us to break down a little bit, feel free to send that to us through our website, t4survival.com, or put it in the comments, and we'll dig into it a little bit. Ed and I had a really good time that afternoon. Really, we hammered away. That was a lot of work to be done in about 4 hours.
Yeah, that was a lot of work. And, they cremated that guy right after that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm thinking to myself, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know they can put those people on ice for as long as they want. I mean, I've gone to a couple autopsies. I know what they're capable of being able to do if they want to.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that still smells, that whole thing.
Well, they also, when they went to get to his house, it was like a medical lab, like completely clean, no silverware. I've heard that in multiple sources, that it was just like, so anyway.
Things that make you go,
Yeah. Isn't that a 1990s song?
No, I think that was Arsenio Hall.
Was
He
it?
used to say
Yeah,
that on
he
the
used to
show.
say that.
Yeah. And then they
Things
did a
that
song.
make you go,
right?
I think it's how we used to do it. Yeah,
We're kind of aging ourselves by saying Arsenio Hall, by the way. But
not all
Yeah,
young
that
like
is-
all you guys.
yeah. Well, I
that?
think Yeah, right, David. Yeah, you're old like us. Don't even
Yeah,
play it.
exactly. Yeah.
So
You
real
cover it.
quick, Jamie, before we leave and
Yeah.
get off, next week is Thanksgiving,
Yes.
which also brings Black Friday.
Oh, yeah.
So
well,
here
are we going to
at-
talk about it?
real quick, yeah.
Okay.
So
All right.
if you're not following us, Kydex Solstice Solutions, you should. We'll be launching our Black Friday sale. It's going to go up soon. I would say within the next few days we'll have it posted. It'll be a 3-day sale. You have to wait to see what's going to be on sale and what the percentage off will be. And Jamie, you running anything over at
I
T4
am.
Survival?
And I've already started teasing it a little bit. Mine, though, however, will not come out until Thanksgiving. So during the day on Thanksgiving, the site will go live with Black Friday specials. And once they're gone, they're gone. I put packages on there, half-day training with me, come up to Maine and do a full day, 2-day training. And those packages usually sell out rather quickly. And a lot of clients will bring family members up. So I have one client, he brings his kids up, and they spend a day training with me on the range and the day training here in the studio. So it's a good opportunity to have that private and get some training time. There might be a camp package, hint, hint, that will be available on there for new camp attendees that haven't attended in the past. And then there'll be some Krav Maga training options, both in person, and we have an online program. For those of you who don't know, you could do 3 classes live with me while I'm teaching here in my training center. You can also be on live and doing Krav Maga class as well and have access to me that way, along with access to class replays, which I've got hundreds and hundreds of classes I've been doing over the past 4 or 5 years that are in archive. So once you become an online member, you could do the live classes and you get access to the class replays from years ago. You could type in choke from the front and you'd see all the classes I taught with choke from the front. Go to the search bar and type in gun defense and see all the classes I taught with gun defense and be able to watch that. We have a lot of clients, a lot of them in different time zones that aren't able to join us live for class at 6 o'clock because they're in Hawaii and it's noon. So they'll jump on and watch the replay a couple hours after class or later that evening, and then they'll message me with questions they have, and then I tackle that in the next live class. So it's a great interactive program. You can find it at t4survival.com. Yes, there will be some Black Friday specials offered for online Krav Maga classes. And if you decide to come out for camp, always clients book a few days early to come up and spend some time around Moosehead, and you get to jump on the training floor and participate in live in-person classes because you're part of the online program. It's included as well. So great stuff. So KydexHolsterSolutions.com, T4Survival.com, and BookLocker.com for American Calamity.
And if you put in because of Kydex Holster Solutions, they have
Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it.
Every order that goes out does include a little gift from T4 and from good old Ed here. So there's a little surprise.
And I have David's products, and I carry my 227 SIG, and that's the one I just qualified with. As a matter of fact, for my Leoso card again, and it's David's stuff, and it's phenomenal. Like I said,
thanks, man.
It really is, and I've been raving about his stuff for years. I've exclusively, since 2017-ish, been exclusively getting all my gear, from David. My holsters, my mag holders. He's made tourniquet holders for me. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And the stuff is phenomenal, top notch, made in David's shop. And I can't speak highly enough about it. As a matter of fact, we've done a video on YouTube, and I can't believe how many people have ordered off of that video when we recommended some stuff from David. So David and I are actually going to do an updated video on, because you've got so much more product that you offer since that time. So
here's something you don't hear very often. Made in Connecticut.
Oh,
that's rare. That's
rare.
That alone brings a premium.
We haven't moved out yet. They haven't scared us away yet.
Not yet.
I'm working on it, though, ladies and gentlemen, bringing them up here to Maine.
Yeah,
I'm working on Ed.
You are doing a good job at it too. At that porch of yours. Oh man, that was bad.
So hopefully we get them to make the move, and it will be made in Maine, which is actually a hashtag. There's lots of stuff made in Maine. That's more home goods and mom and pop type stuff, which is pretty cool.
Stuff,
kind of like the stuff you have there, David. But KydexSolutions.com, T4Survival.com, BookLocker.com for Ed's book. We're going to be signing off for the night. Thanks for joining us. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And we'll be talking soon. We'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. You guys want to say any parting words?
Just happy Thanksgiving, and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Excellent.
Yeah,
we'll talk to you guys soon, everyone. Take care.